When the grid goes down, cell towers fail, or the internet simply disappears, communication doesn't become a luxury. It becomes a piece of survival infrastructure. Welcome back to the Venerable Owl channel. Today we're talking about offline communication, the kind that works when nothing else does. I'm going to walk through three popular options, those being CB radio, Meshtastic, and GMRS. I'll break down the pros and cons of each, and by the end, I'll tell you which one is my main pick and why. Stay tuned. Let's start with the old workhorse. The pros of CB radio. No license is required. You can buy it, turn it on, and talk. There's no paperwork, no databases, and no permissions. Widely owned by truckers, rural households, old school preppers, CB radio is just about everywhere, and that actually matters in an emergency. CB radios are hard to kill. They got big knobs, simple controls, and easy to teach. CBs are vehicle friendly and shines out among mounted trucks and vehicles, especially in rural areas. The cons of CB radio: limited range and capped at 4 watts. Realistic range is usually a mile or so unless conditions are absolutely perfect. CB channels can be crowded and noisy. Anyone can talk, and many do. You may have to deal with interference, foul language, and even nonsense chatter. A good CB setup isn't discreet, so those antennas are large and obvious. They're analog only, there's no data, voice only, and no text, no GPS, and no encryption. The bottom line: CB radio is accessible and familiar, but it's loud, limited, and not very flexible. Option 2 is Meshtastic. Now we move into modern territory. Meshtastic uses low power radios to create a mesh network. There's no internet and there's no cell phones required. The pros of Meshtastic: extremely low power usage. These little things, many of them are very small, use very little battery. If you have the solar powered nodes, those things can run indefinitely. Meshtastic is text based communication, which makes it silent and discreet messaging. And that's a huge advantage in tense situations. The thing about mesh networks is mesh network messages hop from node to node, and this extends the range in reason. Around here where I live, one node has a range of about a mile. So if I have in theory, if I have another node within a mile of mine, that would extend it on for another mile. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. But GPS and location sharing depends on which version that you have, but it is possible. They're excellent for group coordination, and there's no license required. It's completely legal on unlicensed ISM bands. The cons of Meshtastic: it's not very user and beginner friendly, I should have said. You'll need apps, you'll need some firmware, and you'll have to configure it. This is not, I repeat, this is not a plug and play system, but there are plenty of YouTube videos that can walk you through the initial setup process. Mesh networks commonly relies on smartphones, so no phone means no interface, and that's really a vulnerability. Then you'll have to face the limited adoption of the mesh network. If your community or group isn't using a mesh network, it's just a neat little gadget that's going to be on your desk or bookshelf. Text only can be a problem when you're under stress or while moving. The bottom line: Meshtastic is cheap, powerful, stealthy, but it assumes technical skill and group buy-in. The more nodes that you have nearby, the better the network will work. Option 3, GMRS, which is General Mobile Radio Service. Now we're getting into the one that checks most of those boxes for me. So the pros of the GMRS radio is excellent range, especially with mobile units and repeaters. They're far better, in my opinion, than CB in most terrain. It has clear audio and easily to understand under stress. Simple operation and easier than ham radio, but far more capable than CB. Repeaters are available in many areas, and GMRS repeaters dramatically extend coverage. One license covers you and your immediate family. Now for the cons of GMRS radio. There is a license required, but there is no test. But you do have to pay a small fee, nominal fee, and get registered with the FCC. GMRS communication is not private and anyone can listen, so this is not a secure form of communication. Your best range may rely on a repeater, which is a piece of infrastructure that you don't control if you don't own that repeater. So the bottom line, GMRS balances range, clarity, and simplicity, and the adoption of better, most anything else. So I'll say that again, simplicity, and it's easier to learn, easier to use than most of the other ones, such as Meshtastic. So what's my favorite pick? If I had to choose one primary offline communication system, my pick would be GMRS. And here's why. It works now. It's easy for family members to use. It can be scaled from a handheld up to a mobile unit in your vehicle or have a base station. It doesn't require deep technical knowledge, and it performs well in real-world emergencies, not just ideal conditions. That being said, and this really matters, no single system does everything. My ideal setup would look like this. GMRS for primary voice communication. Meshtastic for silent, low-power coordination. CB radio, citizen band radio, as a fallback for wide and informal general contact. Remember, preparedness isn't about picking favorites. It's about layering capabilities. Communication is, in fact, coordination. Coordination is resilience, and resilience is what keeps small problems from becoming disasters. If this video helps you and you think more clearly about your comms plan, give it a like and share it with your group or family. And consider subscribing if you aren't already to the Venerable Owl channel. Remember, be prepared, get proper training, and learn new skills. Visit us on the web at www.venerableowl.com, and thank you for watching.